Gun control is a very hotly debated issue in this country, and it has more or less divided the country. In the wake of all these shootings we've had recently, there's been a lot of arguments about, should we ban guns, should we control guns harder, and it just led to this big, huge debate. Well, if you just look at the facts, it's pretty simple. Guns save more lives than they take. More guns does not equal more deaths, and taking away guns from innocent people who haven't done anything wrong does nothing but, frankly, possibly kill them. When you're in a debate about gun control, one of the first things that always comes up is that more guns equal more deaths and more gun violence. This is not true at all. In fact, according to the Crime Prevention Research Center, 97.2% of all mass shootings occurred in gun-free zones. And this begs the question, if we're concerned about people getting shot up in schools, and there's been a lot of school shootings recently, I'll give you that, why would we keep schools gun-free zones if all of the mass shootings happen in gun-free zones? People always get really angry whenever the topic of, arming teachers or putting armed security guards in school, thinking that's just going to cause more deaths in the schools. Put yourself in the shoes of a school shooter. If you were to see a school, maybe it's your school, and you think, these people just treated me really wrong my entire life, I feel the need to shoot them up. First of all, you're mentally ill and you need to go to the hospital. That is point blank simple. But if you're looking at that school and okay, there's nobody in there with a gun, nobody's going to stop me, I can go in there and do whatever I want, and the only thing that's going to stop me is when the police show up. Isn't that kind of inviting as a school shooter? Wouldn't you be more likely not to go in there if you know there's people in there that's going to stop you? If you think about it, that's very, very logical. And people may say, okay, well, how do we know teachers won't turn? Okay, so if you have a concealed carry license, you can go to the grocery store, you can go to the mall, you can go to the park, you can go almost wherever you want to and carry your gun with you. A lot of teachers in this country are concealed carry permit holders. So why don't we just let them carry their gun to school? If you didn't know this, concealed carry permit holders commit crimes at a sixth of the rate of off-duty police officers. Police officers are already one of the most law-abiding groups in the entire country, and these people commit crimes at a sixth of the rate they do. Why can't they be in there to defend your kid? If your kid's in school, do you trust a school shooter's chances of missing or a teacher's chances of hitting more? Think about that for a second. If there's anybody in the school that has a chance at saving your kid's life, don't you want them in there? So say theoretically we did go the route of letting concealed carry permit holder teachers carry their gun to school. A lot of people will be like, okay, so what if a teacher wants to go get a permit? How are we going to pay for it? Well, first of all, it's not very expensive. There are some states that have, charges as low as like $20 to get a permit. The most expensive state in the country is Arkansas, and it's only $141.50. Then you also have places in the country like Butler County, Ohio. They figured this would be a good idea, and they actually allowed their teachers to carry on campus if they had a license. The sheriff of Butler County actually did classes for free for any teachers that wanted to do it. I'm pretty sure if you were to go ask around, you could probably find people like this do this all over the country, and it wouldn't cost anybody anything. And if it does, make the teachers pay for it. Nobody's making them carry, so why should we have to pay for it? You know what I mean? It's a pretty simple thing to figure out. It's not going to be the end of the world if somebody has to go pay $100 to get their license if they want to protect their students. My next point against gun control would be the fact that people always say that you take away guns, crime goes down. Well, this is very far from the truth, and the best example of this is Chicago. Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the country, yet they have the most gun violence and most gun-related deaths. And another very good example of how taking away guns doesn't help crime is England. England actually has a ban on ownership of handguns in pretty much every other kind of gun there is. And they have 2,304 violent crimes per 100,000 people, and in America there's only 466. So if taking away guns reduces violence, tell me why England has such higher crime rates than we do, over 5 times as many violent crimes as we do. How does that make any sense if America has more guns per person than anybody in the world? That doesn't make any sense to me. Does it make sense to you? They say guns don't save more lives than they take. They say guns take a lot more lives than they save, in fact. Well, according to the FBI, guns save anywhere from 500,000 to 3 million lives per year. They aren't totally sure because you can never know when a gun was actually used or not. But, take the lower end of that, 500,000 lives saved per year by guns. In 2016, there were 33,000 gun deaths in America. 21,000 of those were suicides, so that really doesn't even count. So that leaves 12,000 homicides by gun. Now, would you take 12,000 gun deaths or 500,000 lives saved by guns? And if you go to the high end of 3 million, that's even crazier. I don't know how anybody could ever argue that. Why would we take guns away from those people, those 500,000, 3 million people who annually use them to save their lives? Why would we take guns out of their hands and risk them dying in those situations? If you're on the street and you get mugged and you have, okay, say you have a firearm on you right now and you go to get mugged and the criminal sees that you're armed, they would back away or risk getting killed. But if that same person doesn't have that gun, they're defenseless. They can't do anything. They have to hope they can overpower the criminal. And if they can't, they could end up, just getting robbed. That's best case scenario. Or they can end up in the hospital or even dead just because they didn't have their gun anymore because people took them away from them. That's not fair to anybody. The Second Amendment ensures all of our rights to self-preservation, whether it be against a tyrannical government trying to enforce horrible laws and harm all of us. We need to be able to defend ourselves. That first of all, that's the main reason for the Second Amendment. But it calls for self-preservation, period, including firearms, period. And people say, oh, well, guns have evolved so much nowadays, they're so much deadlier. There were high-capacity firearms back then as well. And even if there wasn't, if you get shot with a musket, you can die just as easily if you were to get shot with any gun on the market today. A gun's a gun. They had them then, they have them now. They ensured that we can always have them then. We should still be able to always have them now. Why? I don't understand why people are just now trying to challenge the Constitution on that when gun deaths have gone down for over 40% since the 90s. People think we have infinitely more gun violence now than we ever have. We have less. So why should we start taking away guns now? Why should we take away some people's only way of defending themselves against somebody trying to kill them? Why? Just because we have some criminals out there. And I do believe background checks should stay in place how they are. I think if anything, make them stricter, make it harder to get a gun, yes, but don't let innocent people not be able to get a gun. That doesn't make any sense. So there you have it. That's why you should not just believe whatever your side of the political spectrum believes, and you should really look at the facts and decide for yourself instead of just assuming whatever you hear is right. Thank you.